Can we agree that January was really, really, really long? Hi, my name is Victoria. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, please subscribe down below and let me know that you like my videos with the big thumbs up. But I wanted to be talking about the 8 books and the one DNF that I had this month. My first read of the month was a library book that I had out at the time, which was The Lost Story by Meg Schaefer. I previously read The Wishing Game by Meg Schaefer and wanted to continue reading her novels, so I checked it out from the library. I absolutely adored it. I gave it 4.5 stars. This follows these two men who, when they were younger, went missing in the West Virginia mountains, and they were gone for 6 months and miraculously were found. No one knew where they were for those 6 months worth of time. For them, it didn't feel that long, but they were gone for 6 months in our time. So there is magical realism in this world, but for the actual plot of this story, we are following a young girl who goes to one of the men, now that they are older, who now has a job of finding missing people, and says, "Hey, right around the time that you and your friend went missing, my older sister, who I didn't even know I had up until recently, went missing. So can you help me find her?" So this is a queer love story between the two men, and also just a exploration on found family and the family that you make along the way, and self-expression, and just an amazing compilation of things. I have never read a magical realism book with that was set in West Virginia before, and so I really enjoyed it, especially because just like a week or two before me reading this book, I was driving through West Virginia on my way home from spending Christmas in Michigan, so it was really amazing to be able to read it and to have seen what I was reading about with the mountains and the trails and all of that fun stuff. So I highly recommend Meg Schaefer books, and especially this one as well, because they are absolutely amazing and magical and definitely worth the read. Next was a middle grade novel that I had for my in person book club, which was Green Glass House by Kate Milford. I gave this 3.5 stars, so I didn't enjoy it as much as the rest of my book club did. It was just because there were too many plot points, too many things that we were following, too many characters. It was just a lot going on that I don't think that I necessarily needed at the time. So I didn't enjoy it as much as they did. I did enjoy the twist that we end up having, like a third of the way through, or no, 2/3 of the way through the book. But I did guess it halfway through. So I saw it coming, um, which it was kind of a letdown. It is a middle grade, so I have to try and not think about it too hard because it's not meant for me. It's not meant for the audience that I am. But it follows a boy named Milo who lives in a bed and breakfast type house with his parents that primarily services like smugglers and thieves and things like that. So they are used to shady people coming in and out of their house. And it is set over winter break, where he was completely set on not having anybody come into the house, and it was just going to be him and his parents until after winter break. And miraculously, on the first day of winter break, 5 people show up to want to stay at the house. And so it follows all of these 5 people and Milo's trying to figure out why they're all there, and then things start going missing, and they find essentially a thief among the patrons. And so it's following him and a little girl named Meddy. Um, Following Milo and Meddy trying to solve these mysteries about why everything is going missing, and essentially the mysteries within the house. And so I enjoyed the storyline. I think there was just too many plots to follow along with, but I understand why a lot of them were necessary to build up to what the twist was. So I don't know if I would recommend it. It's nice. I don't know if I will want to continue. It was very cozy. It's literally like an isolated setting. They're trapped in this house because of the winter storm. So it, and I was reading it over while we had our winter storm. So it was kind of perfect, but I don't know. I have very mixed feelings about this one. Next was an audiobook that I had from checked out from Libby, which was Egyptian Currents Clean and Clear by Shauna McGuire. This is the 10th and possibly final book in the Wayward Children series. I absolutely adore this series so much. I gave this 5 stars. I adore this entire series and all of these characters, but this book specifically follows Nadia and her journey to finding her door and her life within the door. For those who don't know, the Wayward Children series is structured where all of the odd numbered books follow the group of children as a whole that encompass the entire series, and then all of the even numbered books follow the characters in their individual worlds. So the premise of this series is kind of like Portal Worlds, like the Chronicles of Narnia, Alice in Wonderland, things like that, where you are going through a doorway and finding your perfect world. There's a bunch of these kids who have these worlds that they are finding, except what the premise of these specific doors say, be sure above. So you have to be absolutely sure that you want to be leaving your world behind to live in this perfect world that is made for you. A lot of the times, the world will kick them out because they do not believe that they are sure that they want to be there, or they do something that is against what the world believes to be good, and so they are kicked out as well. So it follows them at this house, that kind of like a boarding school type house that is helping them acclimate themselves back into life, and just either waiting for their doors to ask for them back or coming to terms with the fact that they never will. So this one follows Nadia that we meet in book 2 or 3, and it is her turtle world, and she is a drowned girl, which means that her world is completely underwater. And she is were born in Russia, and so the tagline, I think it says that she had 3 mothers: the country, the one who birthed her, the country that made her, and the one who didn't want her, or something like that. And I absolutely loved this. It had some really great disability rep because Nadia was born with without her right arm below the elbow, and so the mother that adopts her, or the family that adopts her, wants to complete her, make because they think that she is not whole or is missing something because she does not have the rest of her arm. And so for her, she's just always lived that way and does not see herself as less because she's been completely capable of handling herself before then. I adored the way that it approached that conversation, and um the way that she was able to live her life regardless of missing that. I would highly recommend this series if you have not read it, but yes, yes, 1,000%. I really wish that there are more, and if there are, I'm gonna be the first to let you know. The next book that I read was Cruel Beauty by Rosamund Hodge. This book has been on my shelves for absolutely forever. I feel like it's been on my shelves since I only had one shelf. Like, it's been that long since I've had this book. I ended up giving it 4 stars. It definitely took me by surprise. I thought it was only going to be a Beauty and the Beast retelling, but it actually was a lot more than that. There was a Greek gods element that I wasn't expecting, and it just built onto the Beauty and the Beast aesthetic of it being a monster who traps a girl into a house, I guess you could say. But literally it says her mission was to kill him, her destiny was to love him, because she would had been trained her entire life to marry him, to kill him. I loved the way that instead of it being Beauty and the Beast where she's absolutely pure and he's just like the monster who is misunderstood, while that is still true, while the monster is misunderstood, she is not pure in the slightest. She has those quote unquote evil thoughts. She has those, like, she's not as likable as everybody would want her to be. So I enjoyed that about a character. Normally you have like the most pure and good person that is like the hero of the story, but in reality it's just because she's just a regular person who has thoughts that can be selfish and can be just human, I guess. I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I'm sad that I left it for this long to be reading it, so I'm glad that I finally did. I'm excited to be picking up one of her other books that she wrote about Red Riding Hood. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head right now, but I really hope to pick it up. I don't know if I will ever find it in the wild, but if I do, chances are I'll pick it up. My next read for the month was The Door to Door Bookstore by Karsten Henn. This is a translated work from German, and so I ended up picking this up for one of my other book clubs that this was our first meeting for. I gave this 4.5 stars. I really, really enjoyed it. It was absolutely tiny. This was 216 pages, I think, so I literally read this in a single day. I adored it. It's about this old man who his name is Carl Kohlhoff, and he delivers books for a living. He works at a bookstore that literally he has these um I don't know how many patrons, but he has just a specific group of people that he constantly delivers books for. Like he will deliver a book and they will give him a new order, and then he'll eventually go and deliver it to them as well. He never remembers or cares what these people's names are, so he gives them names off of characters of books that he absolutely loves. So he has like a Mr. Darcy and a um Effie and uh there's a few other ones, but he just finds connections between the people that he finds in books and the people that he meets in real life. Eventually, as he's walking around, a little 9-year-old girl follows him around and says, like, I want to help you with your delivery because I have nothing better to do and all that fun stuff. And so it's about their connection and that him delivering books, but then it becomes much more darker than that as he starts to slowly descend into feeling useless and the old age and feeling left out, like his whole life is falling apart and crumbling. And it was really, really moving. I absolutely adored it. I don't know if this author has any more books. I have not looked into it, but if they do have more books, I'd be more than willing to read them. I would highly, highly recommend it if you're looking for any translated fiction, because it's really, really, really good. Next was another library book that I had out at the time, which was Somewhere Beyond the Sea by TJ Klune. I loved this book. I gave it 5 stars. This was my absolute favorite of the month. It was spectacular. This follows our characters that we meet in House on the Cerulean Sea, and it takes place about a few months after the ending of House of the Cerulean Sea. I can't remember the exact time frame that we have past the last one. Essentially, it is just to continue on in the plot of them gaining more children into the house, wanting to make a home and making a family. I don't want to give away too much because it's going to be spoiling House of the Cerulean Sea for you, but I absolutely love it. I absolutely love them. I love all of the children. I love the conversations that we have about being unique and about being able to be your own person in your own space. There should not be governmental influence about who you want to be as a person. And so I highly, highly recommend this book. It is amazing. I love these characters so, 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 so much. And I really, really hope that you will read this if you have already read House of the Cerulean Sea. Next was my first ever arc, which was Illusions of Fire by Nisha Sharma. I gave this 3.5 stars. I did not enjoy it as much as I would have wanted, but I think it was more just because I'm leaning further away from reading YA. I'm primarily reading adult, or at least I feel like I'm reading more adult novels than I had been in the past. And so this follows a girl named Layla and a boy named Karan, and Layla is a descendant of a mythological being who like is considered royalty, like essentially if she dies the world ends type of plot. And Quran is a descendant of another mythological being that was sworn to protect her. Quran's parents go missing, and to try and find his parents, he ends up being led to her, and it becomes this whole shebang of these evil forces trying to come after them both and kill them, essentially. Um, I loved the introduction that I had within the Indian mythology. That was not something that I was that I had ever been introduced to. And so I'm this is a really great introduction to that if you are interested in it. I will say that the introduction of the mythology doesn't happen until more than halfway through the book, which was one of the things that I didn't like because I was very confused about all of the things that they were trying to explain. And for a YA novel, a lot of the things need to be explained to you up front, instead of, oh, I have to go and Google what this is. I have to go Google what this person and what this god is. Like, it's not, I want you to tell me. The first two chapters of this books are flashbacks of the kids when they are younger, and essentially setting up where we end up being present day. And we could have done with like two or three more of those flashback chapters, of course having time jumps in between, but allowing the reader to learn along with the character, because essentially they are, when we get thrown into them present day, they have all of this knowledge. They have so much knowledge about the mythology and their place and their destinies, and yet the reader knows absolutely nothing. Like, the one chapter is not enough to tell you a whole backstory on one of these characters. So I would have hoped that there was more backstory and more explanation on the mythology, because it would have helped explain the things that were happening before you had to be told on page how things were connected. So I was a little put off by that, but I still highly recommend it for those who like mythology novels and love a good like enemies to lovers story. It is so good. So it comes out February 4th. So if you, when this book or when this video comes out, it'll be like the day before this comes out. So if you want to look it up, I highly recommend. The last book that I completely read was Lies and Weddings by Kevin Kwong. I had previously read Crazy Rich Asians by this author, and I had mixed feelings about this book. I ended up giving it 4 stars because in the end it did kind of wrap up in a nice way that I enjoyed, but it was too long. It was over 400 pages. It was way too long. It could have done with much more condensing and I don't know, more conciseness. One of the characters that is talked about in the synopsis, we don't meet till more than halfway through the book. And to me, that's just one of those like, then why does half this book have to be about not this character? So it was, for me, too long, but the things that I read about, I did enjoy. I did believe that the main character, Eden, was kind of a pushover and just, I don't know. She let these really rich people just walk all over her, and like, I understand that there's a level of politeness and wanting to be like, have manners and wanting to be liked and all of that craziness, but all of the things that they do to this woman, I would have broken way before she did. And even then, yes, she did it in a classy way that made it like not stooping down to their level, but the things that they did to her, like, no. I I would not have been as classed and poised and perfect as she was about this book. Like, no, I just, no. I would recommend it if you like billionaire romances, I guess. If you like um reading about people that have a lot stupid amount of money. Um because in reality, another reason why I gave it only 4 stars was I didn't care about their problems. I really didn't care about their problems. Like, yes, they were in massive amounts of debt, but I didn't care. Like, isn't everybody in massive amount of debt? Like, I just really didn't care. But it was good nonetheless. I liked a lot of the characters and their connections and between them, and I don't know. This is another one that I have mixed feelings on. And the last book that was on my TBR that I tried to read and absolutely could not was The Lie Tree by Frances Hardridge. I got like 15 pages in and DNF'd it. It just wasn't for me. It's not anything that the book was doing per se. It just wasn't bringing me in. It didn't hook me. And for a middle grade novel, it has to absolutely hook me. Again, it's just because I am not the intended audience. I got it for super cheap. I got it for 99 cents at Goodwill. It's just something that I wanted to pick up. I originally put it on this TBR because of Buzzword. We needed Truth and Lies, and I ended up reading it for Lies and Weddings. So I didn't actually need to be reading this one. So it's going to come off my shelf. It's just one that I don't need. And the last thing that I wanted to talk about were my statistics for the month. I love numbers, and so I've been slowly creating a Google Sheets to break down my little spreadsheet of all of my statistics. And so I'm going to be popping them up on the screen and talking about them. So the first one is going to be my genre breakdown. And so the way that I do my genre is that I picked the top genre, maybe the top two genre, depending on how it is, and I count them all. And so this is the breakdown. As you can see, it's primarily fantasy. A lot of what I read is fantasy, but then we have some mystery and contemporary and some romance in there. So the books that I read are kind of a combination of the two. So like we have fantasy mystery, we have fantasy romance, we have a contemporary romance, we have just contemporary. All of those combinations builds up into this graphic, and so this is how I kind of keep track and be able to have a visual reminder of the genres that I'm picking up. Next, here's a little count of my star ratings. I actually did pretty well in this. It's just counting how many of each star rating that I have. And so I had an equal amount of 5 star, 4.5, and 4. And then the same goes for 3.5 and 3. I had one of each. So I kind of like this distribution. I'm really glad that I had nothing less than a 3 star, but most of the times, if I know that it's going to be less than a 3 star, I kind of don't finish it. So I don't know if I'll ever see anything less than this, but it might end up being that I get more 4 stars than 5 as the months go on. And the last graphic that I have to round up all of these statistics is the audience tracker. As you can see, 50% of what I read is for adult readers, and this month specifically, I read 4 adult novels, 3 YA, and 1 middle grade. So this is what the pie graph looks like. If there are any other statistics that you would want for me to track, let me know, because I'm still building my spreadsheet as I go along. So there may be more statistics as the months progress. But thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe down below and hit that bell icon so you can know every time that I post. If you got this far in the video, please leave me a rose emoji for Cruel Beauty. But thank you so much for watching. I love you so much for getting this far, and thanks for watching.